everyone, welcome to our Mathematics 10 class. We will have our new lesson for today entitled Geometric Means. With this, we will have three specific objectives. The first one is find the end term of a geometric sequence, determine geometric means, and solve word problems involving geometric sequence. Okay? Let's start first by recalling what is geometric sequence. So we've tackled this on our last video. So we've agreed upon or we've learned that geometric sequence has a common ratio, wherein we could get the common ratio by dividing the two consecutive terms from right going to the left. And as we go on with the next terms, we need to multiply the common ratio, whose symbol is small letter r, and take note that it should be non-zero. Okay? So, let us generate the formula of geometric sequence using this situation. So, a student was challenged to save 10 pesos on the first day and double his savings each day thereafter. How much did he save on the fifth day? So, let's take note of the keywords. So, the first day is 10 pesos, so which means our A sub 1 is 10. Okay? And then, we're talking about double. Pag sinabing double, the double here, it increases. Okay? It only means it multiplies by 2. So, kung nag-start tayo by 10, going to the right, we're going to multiply it by 2. On the second day, we will have 20 pesos. And so on, if we're going to have times 2 again, and that is 40 pesos. Times 2 again, so we will have 80 pesos. And another times 2, because we are looking for the fifth day of savings, 80 times 2 is 160 pesos. Okay? So, it's quite laborious when we get the next terms multiplying by multiplying. Okay? So, how about if we're looking for higher number of terms? So, let us generate the formula for geometric sequence. Okay? I hope this problem is clear with you. Going back, we have 5 days and we have the savings like what we did a while ago. And the amount is 10, 20, 40, 80 until we reach 160 pesos. Okay? So, he will save 160 pesos on the fifth day. As we go along, let's think of the pattern like what we did on arithmetic sequence. So, the first thing that we need to do is let us transform that first, second, third, fourth, and fifth as the correct symbol in sequence. So we will have A sub 1 until A sub 5. And if we're going to simplify the column for the savings, as you can notice, puro times 2. Okay? So, pwede natin siyang i-simplify as from 10 times 2, we will have 10 times 2 raised to 1. And then 10 times 2 times 2, so we have 2 times of 2, so we could raise it into 2. We could rewrite it as 2 raised to 2. Then the next thing is 2 raised to 3 and 2 raised to 4. Okay, I hope you could recall on how to simplify it in exponential form. So the next question is, what symbol can be replaced in the 10 pesos? If we're going to go back, what is the symbol of 10 pesos here? So that is our A sub 1. Okay, so we could replace it as A sub 1. Okay, then what is the role of these two? How about 2? What should be the correct symbol? Okay. The role of that 2, those are what we call the common ratio, wherein our symbol is small letter r. So we could replace this by r. Okay? And then, don't forget that we are intend to multiply. So, kailangan multiplication. So, we need to have that parenthesis. Then, we need to take note of these exponents. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Kind of look at as well the subscripts of n. If we're going to relate it in arithmetic sequence, we are now pertaining to n minus 1. Okay? So, the formula for the geometric sequence is a sub n is equal to a sub 1 multiplied to ratio raised to n minus 1. Again, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. So, by this case, I want you to put all the symbols properly. Write it properly. Okay, because we have exponents already. So for a sub n, again, that is the last term or the n term. A sub 1 is the first term. And we all know that r is the common ratio and n pertains to the number of terms. Okay? A sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Okay po? So let's start in solving. Objective number 1, we need to find the n term of a geometric sequence. So let's have this first example. Given that a sub 1 is equal to negative 5 and r is equal to 3, find a sub 5 or the fifth term. So, andyan na yung mga given. So, ibig sabihin nito, we have n is equal to 5. Recalling again the formula, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Okay? So, please write it properly. Then, substitute the values that we need. N is 5, so we will have a sub 5 is equal to a sub 1, that is negative 5. Why do I put a parenthesis? Because we have a negative sign. So, I want you to be careful with it. And then, our ratio is 3. So, please make it as a habit. While you are solving a geometric sequence, please put a parenthesis. And then we have the exponent n minus 1. So, that is 5 minus 1. Okay? I hope that's clear with you. Then, we're going to simplify. So, bring down a sub 5. In GEMDAS, we're going to simplify first the exponent. So, simplify the exponent 5 minus 1, which is equal to 4. So, negative 5 multiplied to 3 raised to 4. Okay? Then, simplify first 3 raised to 4. What does it mean? Is that 3 times 4? Of course not. We need to use 3 as a factor ng 4 na beses. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. So, that is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Or simply use a calculator. So, you need to type in 3 raised to 4. So, the answer there is 81. Okay? So, kung imamano-mano, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So, we will now have negative 5 times 81. Then, syempre, anong huli natin gagawin? We're going to multiply. So, the fifth term is the product of negative 5 and 81. The answer is negative 405. So, the fifth term is negative 405. Clear? Okay, let's move on to the next example. Find the eighth term of the geometric sequence 16, 8, 4, and so on. So find the eighth term. So let's write first the formula. We have a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. So we need to get a sub 1, the value of n, and the value of r. Mas madali yung kanina kasi given na. But right now, let's identify. What's the first term? Okay, very good. So that is 16. What's the value of n? We're going to get the eighth term. So that is the value of n. Which means that is a sub 8, right? Okay. Now, what's the value of our common ratio? So get two consecutive terms. Let's say that we have 4 divided by 8. If we're going to simplify it, that is equal to 1/2. Okay? So we're going to use 1/2. Then let's solve. Let us substitute. The value of n is 8. The value of the first term is 16. And our common ratio is 1/2. Okay? And then the value of n as well is 8 minus 1. Okay? So like what we did a while ago, bring down this one, and 16. Then let's have 1/2. Then 8 minus 1. So that is 7. Okay? And then, what is 1/2 raised to 7? So we're going to simplify 1/2 raised to 7. Anong gagawin po dyan? Meron tayong 7 1/2. Okay? So, kung simplify mo siya, big sabihin yan, 1 raised to 7 at saka 2 raised to 7. Okay? If you're going to rewrite it. But if you're going to use the calculator, don't forget to write the parentheses. Okay? So, please type in 1/2 inside the parentheses. And then put the exponent. We have 7. So, the answer this is 1 over 128. Okay? Is that clear? Okay, let's move on. So, we're going to simplify it now. A sub 8 is equal to 16 times 1 over 128. Then like what I've said to you a while ago, on the last video, dahil whole number 16, lagyan natin ng over 1. Okay? So, we could simplify this as 16 times 1 is 16, and then 1 times 128 is 128. Now, look for a common factor between 16 and 128. Okay? What is the common factor? So that we could get the lowest term. Okay? But if you do have a calculator, which is not only one line, you can simply type in, and then once you click the equals, magbibigay agad yun ng lowest term. So the common factor there is 16. So if that's the case, we're going to simplify it. So let's write again 16 over 128. Divide the numerator and the denominator by 16. 16 divided by 16 is 1, and 128 divided by 16, so that is 8. Okay? So our final answer is the eighth term on this geometric sequence is 1 over 8. Okay? Is that clear? So we need to practice solving fractions and exponents right now. So let's have the third example. How many terms are there in the geometric sequence 15, 30, and so on until you reach the 15,360? Like what I've said to you in the arithmetic sequence, once we deal with how many terms, what is missing again? Okay, we are looking for the value of n. And the 15 here pertains to the first term. And this one is our last term. Okay? Then don't forget to get the common ratio. So that is 30 divided by 15, which is 2. So let's now have our formula. Again, this geometric sequence, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. So our last term is 15,360. And then our first term is 15. Okay? And then our common ratio is 2. Then we don't know n minus 1, the value of n. Okay? So if that's the case, ang unahin natin ngayon ay dapat maiwan lang si 2 raised to n minus 1. So si 15, dahil this is like a factor, nag-multiply tayo, ano ba yung opposite na operation? So we're going to divide both sides by 15. Okay, let me write it clearly with you. So divide both sides by 15. To simplify. So we're going to cancel it now. So using your calculator, what is 15,360 divided by 15? So the answer is 1,024. Okay, and then bring down 2 raised to n minus 1. So right now, we need to transform 1,024 into exponential form, wherein the base must be 2. Okay? So, si 1,024, gagawin nating base ay 2. Mag-iisip tayo ng exponent ni 2 para maging 1,024. So, ilang 2 para maging 1,024? Okay? So, can you think of a number? Yan. Correct. The answer here is 10. So, we're going to write it as 2 raised to 10 is equal to 2 raised to n minus 1. Okay? Bakit naging ganun? Kasi equal naman po si 1,024 kay 2 raised to 10. So, we could replace it. Bakit po ganun? Because in exponential form, para ma-solve mo yung mga exponents, dapat parehas tayo ng base. So, dahil parehas na tayo ng base, bring down mo na yung exponents. Okay? By that, we could now simplify. So, if we're going to transfer negative 1, it will become 10 plus 1 is equal to n. And this gives us n is equal to 11. So, which means there are how many terms? There are 11 terms. Okay, starting from 15, going to the 15,360. Clear? Okay, it's quite challenging, but please don't give up. So let's have this problem solving. Example number 4. A certain culture of bacteria triples its number every 3 hours. If at the end of 3 hours, there are 20 bacteria in it, how many bacteria will there be at the end of 24 hours? So what does it mean? Tumitriple daw. Ganun kabilis yung pag-grow ng bacteria. So, ano siya? A sub 1 ba siya? Number of terms or the ratio? Okay, very good. So, triples, so it only means times 3 ng times 3. So, that is our common ratio. And then our next hint is every 3 hours. Kaya lang pagdating dito sa last sentence, sabi, how many bacteria will there be at the end of 24 hours? So, ano ba talaga kukunin natin? Yung 24 o yung 3? Okay? So, Analyze natin. In every 3 hours. So, ilang 3 hours ang mabubuo kay 24 hours? So, magiging 24 divided by 3, which is equal to 8. Okay? So, may 8 terms tayong mabubuo in every 3 hours at the end of 24 hours. So, I hope that's clear. And then, it started with 20 bacteria. Okay? I hope that's clear. So, let's now use our geometric sequence formula. So, our n is 8, not 24. Our first term is 20. Our common ratio is 3. Again, our n is 8. Okay? So, like what we're doing, bring down the first term, bring down the ratio, simplify the exponent. 8 minus 1 is 7. Then a sub 8 is equal to, bring down 20, use your calculator. So, what is 3 raised to 7? That is 2,187. There are times na sobrang laki. So, pagka ganun, may makikita kayo sa calculator ng mga times 10 raised to 10 or no matter what. Big sabihin scientific notation. So, pwedeng idire-diretso nyo na to. Okay? So, don't forget to put a parenthesis and the multiplication. Kasi nag-error minsan sa calculator. Then, the last step is, we're going to multiply it now by 20. So, the answer is 43,740. So, sabi sa tanong, how many bacteria will there be at the end of 24 hours? We're going to answer that there will be 43,740. Anong pinag-aaralan natin? What's the main subject? Bacteria at the end of 24 hours. Okay? Is that clear? Okay. Thank you so much. So, let's now proceed on our last objective, determine geometric means. So, let us remember our keyword before. Once we encounter means, it pertains to between. So, all the terms in between the two non-consecutive terms. Not particularly, we have the first term and the last term. So, basta yung mga nasa gitna. Okay? And let us remember this. I hope you have this on your notebooks for you to easily differentiate arithmetic and geometric. Okay? So, we're going to use the formula, again, in geometric sequence, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Pero, if there is the middlemost missing term, doon natin gagamitin yung isang formula, yung shortcut, katulad nung sa arithmetic means. So, GM is equal to the square root of a sub 1 times a sub n. So, yung a sub 1 ay first term at ang a sub n ay last term. So, we're just going to get the product and then get the square root. Okay? So, wag malilito. Gagamitin lamang yan pag merong gitnang gitna. Katulad ng ginagawa natin sa arithmetic sequence. Okay? So, let's start solving. Insert two geometric means between 4 and 108. So, let us illustrate it first. So, it started with 4 at mag-i-insert daw tayo ng two geometric means. So, 1, 2, and then 108. Okay, yan lang. Wala tayong common ratio. Mahirap kasi magkalayo. Okay? So, magsasolve tayo. So, if that's the case, nawawala po si common ratio. And we have the first term, which is 4. And the roll of 108 is the last term. Okay? So, what is the value of n? Ilan lahat ito? Okay, we have 4 terms, as you can notice. So, using now the formula, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Our last term, the whole thing here, we're going to substitute it with 108. And our first term is 4. And then our common ratio is missing. And then our n is 4. Okay? So, please focus. So, we're going to simplify 4 minus 1, which is the exponent. So, bring down 108, bring down as well 4. We will have r raised to 3. Okay? And then, we're going to divide. Divide both sides by the first term. Okay, divide both sides by 4. So, 108 over 4 is equal to 4 times r raised to 3 over 4. Bakit? Para matira lang si r. Kasi yun yung goal natin. So, canceling this, what is 108 divided by 4? So, the answer there is 27 is equal to r raised to 3. Okay? So, right now, ang goal naman natin, makuha si r, pero kasi may exponent na 3. So, tuloy natin dito. 27 is equal to r raised to 3. If you will encounter this, diba, ang clue mo dyan kasi yung exponent na 3. Iisip ka ng number ng tatlong pare-parehas na number na ang sagot daw ay 27. Okay, so if we're going to factor this out, this is 9 times 3, right? And 9 times 9 is, that is 3 times 3. So, erase ko lang. So, this is 3 times 3 and then 3. So, we could rewrite this as 3 raised to 3 is equal to, bring it down, r raised to 3. Okay? So, if this is the case, tulad ng natutunan natin ng grade 9 tayo, we're going to get the cube root. Bakit cube root? Kasi ano ba exponent? Cube. Okay? So, in short kasi, bakit ba nagkakaganyan? Kung isi-simplify kasi natin to, di ba may r cube tayo sa loob? Tapos yung cube root, that is 1 over 3. Okay? So, ganyan ang talagang itsura niyan. Okay? So, kaya nagkakaroon ng cancellation. Kaya naka-cancel to. Okay? So, r is equal to 3. But are we done? Not yet. Kasi ang hinahanap naman talaga is the two geometric means, not only the r. So, we're going to the right. So, 4 times 3, the answer there is 12. And then, multiply again 3, so that is 36. Then, we could still continue for us to check kung talagang 108 ba ang kasunod. Okay, so 36 times 3, so that is 108. So, the answer is the two geometric means are 12 and 36. Hindi pwedeng magkabaliktad ha. Kasi we are talking about sequence. It should be in proper order. Okay? I hope that's clear. Next example. What is the geometric mean between 9 and 16? So, medyo madali. Kasi mean, ilan lang yun? Isa. So, you will have 9, blank, and then 16. So, like what I've told to you before, may shortcut pagka may gitnang-gitna. Diba ang formula natin ay GM is equal to the square root of the product of the first term and the last term. So, we all know that we have the first term, which is 9. And we have the last term, which is 16. Karaniwan, ang notion, mumultiply agad. Tapos, kukunin na lang yung square root. Kasi may calculator naman. Pero pwede nyo naman ding padaliin ang buhay natin kahit wala tayong calculator. Pwede mo siyang paghiwalayin. What is the square root of 9 times the square root of 16? Okay? So, that is one property of the radicals. Then, what is the square root of 9? That is 3, right? And then, what is the square root of 16? That is 4. Then, if we're going to simplify it, that is 12. Okay? But let us also not forget that once we have the square roots, it could also be positive or negative. Okay? So there are two possible answers. It is either positive or negative 12. Okay? Kasi parehas pa rin naman ang ano yun eh, magiging ratio. Yung isa positive, yung isa negative. Okay? Is that clear? So if we're going to check it, let's have the checking. Let us check first the positive. Let's have 12 over 9. Ang common factor nito ay 3. Diba? So 12 divided by 3, the answer is 4. And then 9 divided by 3, so that is 3. Then let's check another one. Let's have 16 divided by 12. The common factor here is 4. 16 divided by 4, so that is 4. And then 12 divided by 4, so that is 3. So it is the same. So which means our answer is correct. Okay? So let's have the third example. Find the missing terms. Geometric means yan kasi nasa gitna. Okay? Meron ba tayong gitnang-gitna? Do we have the middlemost? Yes. So, ibig sabihin, pwede nating makuha to. So, this is the first geometric mean, this is the second geometric mean, and the third geometric mean. Pwede rin naman yung long method na kukunin mo ang means na to gamit yung formula ng geometric sequence. So, it's all up to you. But for me, I want to use the simplest way. So, that is a sub 1 times a sub n, and get the square root of it. Okay? So, we are pertaining to the second geometric mean. So, our first term is 256, and that is 1. Kahit na paghiwalayin natin to, 1 pa rin naman yun eh. So, ibig sabihin lang yan, ano talaga ang square root ng 256? Okay? So, get now your calculators. The answer there is 16. Okay? So, the answer here is 16. Then, in order for us to get this, we will have the square root of 256 times the square root of 16. Okay? And then, pwede pa nating ito pala ay paghiwalayin. Sorry. Kasi nakuha na natin si square root of 256, right? So, we could have here the square root of 256 times the square root of 16. So, you will have the square root of 256 is 16. And the square root of 16 is 4. Diba? Mas madaling masimplify. So, what is now 16 times 4? So, that is 64. Okay? Yeah. Next, the last one. I hope you can now get it. So, the third geometric mean, we're going to simplify the square root of 16 times square root of 1. Okay, so in short, we're pertaining to the square root of 16, so which is 4. Okay? So, katulad ng nabanggit ko sa inyo kanina, pagka may square root, it is either positive or negative. But you're going to decide it right now. Kasi ang una mo at saka ang dulo ay positive, di ba? So, hindi ka pwedeng gumamit ng lahat ito negative. Okay? Ang pwedeng mangyari dito, panatilihin mong positive si 16. So, there are two possible answers. So, we could have negative 64, 16, and negative 4. Or yung ginawa natin ngayon na 64, 16, at saka 4. Okay? So, either of the two, okay lang. Kasi kung i-check mo, parehas pa rin, we will still have a common ratio. Okay? So, I hope that's clear. Don't forget this. Example number 4. The geometric mean of these two numbers is 8. Find the two numbers. So, it's quite tricky. Binigay na kaagad yung geometric mean. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong dalawang nawawala sa paligid ng 8. Okay? What are we going to do now? Gamitin natin yung shortcut. Okay? So, yung geometric mean natin ay 8 is equal to the square root of a sub 1 times a sub n. Okay? Ngayon, kailangan mawala si square root. Diba? So, that is raised to 1/2, diba? O kaya square. So, ibig sabihin, we need to square both sides. Bakit? Para matanggal to. Okay? So, you will now have 64 because that is 8 squared. Then, matitira si a sub 1 at saka si a sub n. So, ngayon, dapat nating i-recall yung factoring. Okay? So, naiwan ngayon si 64. Ano yung two numbers sa pagka pinag-multiply mo? Ang sagot ay 64. So, we will have 8 times 8. Okay? So, ano pa? Ano pa yung ibang... pwede ba siya kay 2? Pwede. You will have 32 times 2. Pwede rin ba siya kay 4? So, let's try. 64 divided by 4. So, pwede. So, 16 times 4. Meron pa ba? Divisible ba siya kay 3? No, kasi 6 plus 4 ay 10. I think wala na. So, ngayon, iisipin natin, ano yung suswak dito? Ano yung numbers na nandito sa gilid niya? Okay, so kung itatry natin, 8, 8, 8. Pwede ba? Pwede. Kasi ang common ratio ay 1. Pwede rin kaya ito? 32, 8, and then 2. May common ratio ba tayo? What is our common ratio here? Okay, our common ratio here is 1/4. O pwede rin mo rin mapagbaliktad si 2 tsaka si 32. Sige, gawin natin yan. 4, 8, and 16. May common ratio ba tayo? Yes, meron. So, that is 2. So, ito rin, pwede rin pagbaliktarin. 16, 8, and 4. Ang magiging common ratio nga lang ay 1/2. So, ito, pagka pinagbaliktad, 2, 8, and 32, ang common ratio naman ay 4. So, there are a lot of possible answers. Okay, so these are your possible answers. Okay? Clear po tayo? Sige. Next, example number 5. The first and third terms in a symmetric sequence are 16 and 81, respectively. Find the fourth term. So, illustrate natin. Meron daw tayong first term tsaka third term. So, si first term daw natin ay si 16. At ang third term daw natin ay si 81. Pero, ang hinahanap ay si fourth term. Paano yun? So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Given na si a sub 1 na si 16 at si third term ay 81. Okay? So, madali ito. Kung mapapansin nyo, anong pwede natin gamitin? Sequence o means? Tama. Means, kasi nasa gitna naman. So, let's have the geometric mean. So, we will have 16 times 81 and then get the square root of it. So, we will have the square root of 16 times the square root of 81. So, what's the square root of 16? Again, so that is 4. And then, we will have here the square root of 81. So, which is 9. 4 times 9. So, that is 36. So, we will now have 36 here. So, given that, so mag-stick tayo sa positive ngayon, ano kaya ang fourth term? With that, pwede na nating makuha yung common ratio, di ba? So, the common ratio, let's have 36 divided by 16. Which is, ano ang common factor? What is the common factor on that case? A, so you will have 4. 36 divided by 4, so that is 9 over 4. Okay? So, dahil nakuha natin si common ratio, pwede natin i-multiply kay 81. So, ang fourth term natin, 81 times 9 over 4. Over 1 ito. Okay po. So, what is now 81 times 9? 81 times 9, the answer is 729 over 4. Okay? Pwede pa ba siya ma-simplify? Hindi na. Yan na po talaga ang sagot. Medyo malaki, pero yan na po talaga ang sagot. So, this is now our fourth term. Okay? So, it's quite challenging for this kind of sequence because it involves fractions, exponents, and radicals. But please be more patient. Practice even more. You can solve a lot of problems for you to familiarize and to master everything. Okay? So, math may be difficult for most of us, but do not give up. Let us continue to practice and persevere. Mas isip ng mabuti, mas tanong pag hindi maunawaan, at tayo ay mag-usap. With that, thank you so much and God bless us all.